Dear students, viewers and the subscribers, welcome to the IAS Mentor. This would be lecture number 112 in the series Indian Polity, and we are almost coming to the end of this particular series. Today we are going to discuss another important constitutional body, that is the Finance Commission of India. But before I get into the Finance Commission of India, I want to make an announcement to the students. As per the request of many of the students who are already following the Indian Polity Series, I am also planning to do a current affairs series on Indian polity, which would be a very short series, which is basically to cater to the requirements of the students who may be appearing for the prelims 2025. So the idea is that if you would have watched the Indian Polity Series along with the current affairs series, that would help you to solve 80 to 90% of the questions that is coming in the prelims 2025. Suppose if there are 15 questions, 13 to 14 questions can be solved. That is how I am planning to devise this particular series. If there are 20 questions, around 18 to 19 questions can be done. But however, nobody can guarantee all the 100% of the questions. That is not possible. UPSC is UPSC, and there is no limit to what kind of questions can be asked in UPSC. But based on the previous experience of my long experience of almost 15 years, including me as a student, so we could predict certain areas and we could predict the trend as to how the UPSC is asking the questions. All right. So based on that, the current affairs series will be done. For more information, you can subscribe to the IAS Mentor channel, and within a week we'll start releasing the videos on the current affairs. All right. So with that, I'll move on to the topic, that is the constitutional body, and within the constitutional body, it is the Finance Commission of India. And what we will discuss today with regard to the Finance Commission of India is, first we will try to understand the constitutional provisions as to what the constitution says with regard to the Finance Commission of India. And most importantly, what are the functions that is assigned to the Finance Commission of India as per the constitution. So these are the important areas that you are going to discuss, and I'll also touch upon the problems with the Finance Commission recommendations today in our country. So this is very important both for your prelims as well as for your mains examination. Okay, all right. So what is the relevant article based on which the Finance Commission is established? So the first and foremost thing is, it is Article 280 of the Constitution that allows for the establishment of Finance Commission of India. And who is supposed to appoint the Finance Commission of India? As per the Constitution, it is a President of India. It is a President who has to appoint the Finance Commission of India according to the Constitution. How many members are to be appointed? Most importantly, you should remember this: the composition of the Finance Commission is fixed in the Constitution. What the Constitution says with regard to the composition, it shall consist of a chairman plus 4 other members. This is what is very, very important. Although the composition is fixed in the Constitution does not prescribe any qualification for these members. The Constitution has given this power to the Parliament to make a law, and by that law to determine the qualification. Accordingly, the Parliament has enacted what is called as the Finance Commission Act 1951. So it is the Finance Commission Act 1951 which provides for the qualification for these members. So broadly you can remember the qualifications. The chairman of the commission, who is appointed to be the chairman of the commission, should be someone who has got experience in public affairs, a very general qualification for the chairman. And apart from that, one should be a retired judge of a Supreme Court or a High Court. And then the other member is someone who is having experiences in public finances and accounts, anyone who has worked in the accounts and retired from the government probably. And the next is anyone who has an experience in public financial policies and all those things. And then the last thing is anyone who is having an academic background in economics. So these are all the different qualifications. So roughly you can remember these things. But however, the most important thing is who is supposed to determine the qualification. The qualification is not directly given in the Constitution. It is for the Parliament to make a law, and by that law they can determine their qualifications. So accordingly, the law has also been enacted. So now the President every 5 years constitutes what is called as a Finance Commission. So far, how many Finance Commission has been appointed? The latest Finance Commission for whom the terms and references has been issued by the President is the 16th Finance Commission. But however, what is the Finance Commission recommendation that is getting implemented today? As of today, it is only the 15th Finance Commission. So far 15 Finance Commission has given their recommendations, and the latest recommendation that was given by the 15th Finance Commission, which is likely to get implemented till the year 2026. Only after 2026, the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission will come into effect. So therefore, it is very important for us to understand the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission as well. So we'll proceed, and first we'll try to understand what majorly is a function that is to be performed by the Finance Commission of India under the Constitution. So if you look into the Constitution, there are broader functions that is given. Let us try to break them one by one. The first and foremost function of the Finance Commission of India is to determine the basis on which the revenue shall be distributed between the center and the states, for which we'll have to understand that India is a federal political system. Let me just come back a little from there. We know that India is a federal political system, and when I talk of the division of powers or the center-state relationship, we have talked about all the things. In a federal political system, there is a division of powers. We have seen this division of powers between the center and the state in terms of their legislative, in terms of their administrative, and also in terms of what is called as their financial relationship. So in all the three domains, there is division of powers between the center and the state. And in terms of the financial relationship, we have seen that it is the responsibility of the center to share some of the tax resources that they have collected with the states. While the states, there is no need for them to share some of the revenue with the center, but whatever the revenue that is mobilized by the center, they have to share certain portion of that with the states. But to what extent they shall share it with the states is not given in the Constitution. It is for the center to decide that. But the center government may not be an expert body in deciding all those things. For that purpose, the Constitution has also provided for what is called as a Finance Commission, and assign it with the responsibility of giving this recommendation to the center as to what extent they shall distribute the revenue between the center and the states. So this is categorically, I've said, if you see the financial relationship, there's a distribution of revenue between the center and the states. So whatever is a central pool of resources, whatever is the resources mobilized by the center, out of which they can be divided into what is called as divisible pool and non-divisible pool. One is a divisible pool of revenue, and other is a non-divisible pool of revenue. So whatever is a non-divisible pool of resources, whatever the tax that is part of non-divisible pool, that will go only to the center. The Constitution itself prescribes what are the areas it is divisible and what are the areas it is non-divisible. So whatever the area is non-divisible, that is exclusively only for the center. Say for example, the taxes that is collected by the center in the form of cess, in the form of surcharge, these are all non-divisible pool. But most of the other taxes which is collected by the center, which includes the direct taxes, they are all what is called as divisible pool. So out of this divisible pool, that means, as the name suggests, divisible pool means they have to be divided between the center and the state. But to what extent they have to share it with the states is a question mark. So who is going to give this recommendation? That is exactly the first and foremost responsibility of the Finance Commission of India. And for the very purpose, the President has to appoint what is called as the Finance Commission. And what is the article under which he is going to establish this? Under Article 280 of the Constitution. And what is the latest Finance Commission report that is getting implemented? That is of the 15th Finance Commission. So what is the recommendation that is given by the 15th Finance Commission? The 15th Finance Commission has said that out of the total revenue that is collected by the states from part of its divisible pool, that forms part of its divisible pool, 41% revenue shall go to the states. How much revenue shall go to the states? 41%. That means if 100 units are part of the divisible pool, 59 units will be for the center and 49 units will be for the states. This is the understanding you should have. So what is the first and foremost function of the Finance Commission of India? Is to distribute the revenue between the center and the states. But here is the catchword. When I talk of distribution of revenue between the center and the states, the Finance Commission has to deal with both the horizontal distribution as well as the vertical distribution. So what does it mean by horizontal as well as the vertical distribution? So distribution of revenue is both vertical as well as horizontal. So what is this vertical distribution of revenue? And what is this horizontal distribution of revenue? Vertical distribution of revenue means among the 100 units of the divisible pool, 41% should go to the states. So collectively for all the 28 states, so how many states we have today in our political system is 28 states in the Indian Federation. So 41% shall be going to all the 28 states, but that is a vertical distribution. But in turn, what will be given to each and every state out of this 41% is basically what is called as horizontal distribution. Some states may get less, some states may get more, but cumulatively if you add up the shares that is given to all the states, that would amount to 41%. So 41% is merely a vertical distribution, and that 41% has to be further divided between each and every state, that is horizontal distribution. So whose function is to give recommendation to the center with regard to the vertical distribution as well as the horizontal distribution? It is the recommendation of the Finance Commission of India. But what is the basis on which the Finance Commission makes this horizontal distribution? Which state in India should get how much? That's basically the horizontal distribution. What is the basis on which the Finance Commission of India does that? The Finance Commission of India does that on certain parameters. I'll discuss that subsequently. In fact, if you look into the 15th Finance Commission, the 15th Finance Commission has primarily taken into account 6 parameters based on which the horizontal distribution of revenue is done. I'll just discuss about this, but I'll discuss all the functions, then I'll go to that particular area. So this is the first and foremost function of the Finance Commission. What is the next function of the Finance Commission? The Finance Commission will also give recommendations with regard to granting aid to the states. Now, first of all, you will have to understand as to what is this granting aid. Now, please keep it in your mind, the granting aid is in addition to what is already distributed between the center and the states. Suppose if already a revenue is given as a part of the first point, that is distribution of revenue between center and states. Suppose if a particular state, overall for all the state it is 41%, but out of the 41%, if any state is getting 2%, so that 2% revenue will go to a particular state. In addition to the 2% revenue that a particular state has got, the state may also receive certain granting aid, say for example 0.5% granting aid to that particular state. That shall also be on the basis of what is called as the recommendation that is given by the Finance Commission. So as per Article 275 of the Constitution, the center can give grants to the states. But what is the basis on which the center gives grant to the states? That is on the recommendation of the Finance Commission. Now, what is the basis on which the Finance Commission makes these recommendations? The Finance Commission makes this recommendation on the special issues that is concerning that particular state. Based on the scheduled caste population in that particular state, based on the developmental issues in that particular state, based on the backward regions in that particular state. So, in order to address all these issues, the Finance Commission might recommend the center to give a granting aid to that particular state and which the state can use for the particular purpose. So, this is basically what is called as a granting aid. So, this is the second recommendation, or this is the second function that is to be performed by the Finance Commission. Apart from that, the Finance Commission can also do what? Apart from that, the Finance Commission can also make recommendations to the particular state to augment its financial resources. Or in other words, the Finance Commission can give recommendation to the state government as to how they can improve upon their financial resources. What is the way by which they can collect more taxes? So, why this recommendation is given by the Union Finance Commission is so that the state, if they have more revenue, they can devolve, they can give more finances to the local bodies. Now, try to understand. Now, in India, we have a 3-tier structure of governance. One is the union government, and then you have the state government. Below the state government, in every state, you have the local bodies. So, therefore, what is very important is that as a center gives some revenue to the states, the state government should also give certain revenue to the local government. But the local government might receive more funds from the state only when the state has more resources. So, to that extent, the Union Finance Commission gives recommendation to the state as to how they shall mobilize more resources. But this is strictly in line with the recommendation that is given by the State Finance Commission. Already for every state, there is a State Finance Commission. The State Finance Commission will give recommendations in this particular regard. So, on a similar line, upon the report of the State Finance Commission, the Union Finance Commission will also make a recommendation. strictly to improve the financial resources of the local bodies, that is the panchayat and the municipalities in that particular state. So these are all direct functions that is given in the constitution itself. Does it mean that the finance commission is supposed to perform only these functions? No. The finance commission can perform any of the other functions as it is entrusted upon the finance commission of India by the president of India. So apart from these three functions which is directly mentioned in the constitution, the president of India at any point of time can confer any of the functions upon the finance commission, and it is a responsibility of the finance commission of India to perform all these functions as well. So broadly, what are the functions? First, the finance commission has to give recommendations for distribution of revenue between the center and the states, not only the vertical distribution but also the horizontal distribution. And then the second function is the finance commission of India will also give recommendations with regard to the granting aids that may be given to the states, which is the responsibility of the center to do so under Article 275 of the Constitution. Now remember one more thing, whatever the grant that is given by the center to the states by virtue of Article 275 and by the recommendation of the finance commission, they are all to be charged upon the consolidated fund of India. So what does it mean by they are charged upon the consolidated fund of India? These granting aids has to come from the consolidated fund of India in the form of vote on demand for grants, or at the stage of vote on demand for grants, the granting aids that is given to the states shall not be put to vote, although they can be discussed because they are a charge expenditure. And apart from that, the Union Finance Commission can also give recommendation to the states as to how they can augment their financial resources in line with the recommendation given by the State Finance Commission. So therefore, the state can give more finances to the local bodies. And apart from all these functions, the president at any point of time can confer more functions upon the finance commissions. These are all the major functions that is to be performed by the finance commission. Do remember, the composition of finance commission is fixed in the constitution but not their qualifications. Qualification is determined only by an act of parliament. Now for us to complete the discussion of the finance commission, let us also look into the 15th finance commission, because it is the 15th finance commission which is the latest finance commission whose recommendation is getting implemented. And the 15th Finance Commission has said categorically that 41% of the revenue shall be given to the states, but this 41% from the center is only a vertical devolution. But this 41% has to be again distributed between various states, and to be very specific, it has to be distributed within 28 states. So among this 41%, which state will get how much? That is basically what is called as a horizontal distribution. This is also to be on the basis of the recommendation that is given by the Finance Commission of India, and for which the Finance Commission of India has got certain parameters. In fact, this was asked in the last year prelims examination or an year before. You can just look into the previous year questions. They have given a list of parameters and they asked you to identify what is the parameters on which the Finance Commission has allowed for the horizontal distribution of revenue between the states. There are 6 parameters that was followed by the Finance Commission of India as per the 15th Finance Commission, and based on which the finances has been shared by the state. So what are those parameters? First is income distance. What does it mean by income distance? Income distance is the gap in the income between a state which is having the highest per capita income and a state which is having a per capita income of its own. That's basically what is called as the income distance. For example, let us assume state X is one which is having the highest per capita income. Let us assume 50,000 rupees per individual is the per capita income of state X. Let us assume state A. State A is having per capita income of 10,000. So what would be the income distance between state A and state X? Is the income distance is 40,000. And it may vary from state to state. So it all should be seen in relation to a state which is having the highest per capita income. Suppose if state B is having 20,000 as a per capita income, then this income distance would be 30,000 for that particular state. That means more is the income distance for a particular state. So more is the income distance for a particular state, then that state is considered to be a backward state. Less is the income distance, then the state is progressing. So any state which is having more income distance, then that state is likely to be given more funds because that is considered to be a backward state. Second is area of a particular state. More is the area, more expenditure burden upon that particular state. So therefore, more finances from the Finance Commission. Population. More is the population, again more burden upon the particular state, and hence more income, more allocation of money to that particular state. And for the purpose of population, which census is to be taken into account? The census which has been taken into account by the 15th Finance Commission is the 2011 census. In fact, to take 2011 census, there was lot of opposition from some of the southern states, because prior to the 15th Finance Commission, it was majorly the 1971 census which was taken into account. And 1971 census was taken into account for the reason that many of the southern states started reducing the population based on the directions of the center. So therefore, the southern states have made this recommendation that the 1971 census has to be followed, because if the latest census are to be followed, the southern states will lose out on the money because they have controlled the population, but many of the northern states have increased their population. So it will be a natural advantage to the northern states to get more finances. But however, this practice of following the 1971 census was discontinued by the 15th Finance Commission. So they are following only 2001 census. And then there is something which is called as demographic performance. What is demographic performance? So demographic performance is based on population control, fertility rate, etc. So these are all certain parameters which the demographic performance will take into account. So very good effort in population control, very good effort in containing the fertility rate, then more credit is given to that particular state. So this is what is demographic performance. And then you have what is called as forest and ecology. Any state which is having more forest cover and more ecological preservation, and if their efforts are consistent in that particular regard, that state will be given more resources. Because more forest cover means that the state may have to somewhere compromise between the developmental activities. In order to compensate for that, more finances are given in this particular area. And then the tax and fiscal efforts, how the state is doing in terms of the tax collection and other fiscal measures, and to incentivize a better performing states, more finances will be given. Now these are all the various parameters on which the horizontal distribution of revenue happens within the center and the states. Very, very important. So if you see, the Finance Commission of India has a very central role to play under our political system, because the political system of India is a federal political system. A federal political system where there is division of powers, not only in terms of administrative as well as the legislative domain, but also in the financial domain. And in order to ensure this fiscal balance between the center and the state, the Finance Commission of India has a very central role to play. And that is why we consider the aspect of the role that is played by the Finance Commission is also ensuring what is called as fiscal federalism. And in order to ensure a proper fiscal federalism, we need to have a very balanced Finance Commission of India, which gives proper recommendations with regard to sharing of revenue between the center and the states. But even the recommendation which is given by the Finance Commission is not beyond any criticism. Some of the states do have a lot of criticism with regard to the the Finance Commission of India also, because first of all, there is no representation of the states in the Finance Commission. Unilaterally, all the members are appointed only by the President of India. And secondly, the Finance Commission functions as per the terms of references which is given by the President. That means what they are supposed to do. Apart from the Constitution, the President can determine certain terms of references. Now, all the terms of references are unilaterally done by the President without taking into consideration the needs of the state. So therefore, the states are having concern with regard to the way the Finance Commission functions. But however, despite all those things, the Finance Commission has a very central role to play in our constitutional system. So with that, we are coming to the end of this particular topic, the Finance Commission of India. Very, very important topic. But our discussion will not be complete without we complete this practice question. So come to this particular practice question. Consider the following statements regarding the Finance Commission of India. Statement 1. The composition of the Finance Commission is provided in the Constitution. Statement 2. The main function of the Commission is to recommend the distribution of revenue between the center and the states. Which of the statements given above are correct? So depending upon the statements, you can choose your answer. And please do put your answers in the comment box, which is really going to motivate me. So as I already said in the beginning of this particular lecture, along with the Indian Polity Series, which more or less very conventional in nature. We are also going to do a Polity Current Affairs series, which will complement and supplement this particular series in order to maximize the performance of the students in the examination. And for more updates on the current affairs series, you can subscribe to the IAS Mentor channel. Thank you very much and all the very best.